A blessed evening to all of you who are here in the shrine and also those fellow worshipers in other parts of the world joining us through this live stream. I would like to focus this reflection on the first reading, as I usually do during weekdays, the reflection on this first reading which we have been meditating on from the book or letter of Paul to the Romans for the past 2-3 weeks already. One of the most important, if not the most important letter of the New Testament, the letter to the Romans. And in this brief text of today's reading from this letter, Paul is going to present to us a kind of a synthesis on the topic of love. The beginning of the verse invites us to analyze our own lives, the very fabric of daily and community relationships, and to ask ourselves how our love is doing in relation to them. And the recommendation is clear: owe no one anything but love. It's a typical Hellenistic expression, they say, scholars would say. In this context, it refers to love of neighbor. And the only debt each other should owe to others is mutual love. A free love that liberates us because it is rooted in unconditional and free love of God. Ultimately, mutual love is a way of fulfilling the entire law, as Jesus already taught us. Something that believers can do because He has enabled us to do so by the Spirit He has poured into our hearts. We are capable of doing so because of that Spirit that He has bestowed on us. For the Apostle Paul, as a Jew, all the precepts of the law are summarized and reach their fulfillment in that commandment of love. The text collects the testimony of Leviticus chapter 19, verse 18, which according to Paul summarizes the fundamental core of the commandments which we find in Exodus 20 and in Deuteronomy chapter 5. In this text, the apostle has cited only 4 commandments from the second table of the Decalogue, which Hellenistic Judaism used for catechetical purposes and to initially instruct pagans. Paul cites them as examples, which is why he adds, and any other commandments there is. Rather, what is proposed is to provide a kind of a key, a hermeneutical key, that allows us to discern what God's will is in the event of conflict of values. Loving others as oneself is easy to understand, although not always easy to comply with. It means turning the other into a neighbor, kapwa, close to me, and it takes our pulse on how our love for others is going. And in connection with this memorial we are doing tonight for the victims of the Yolanda, that we are reminded also that love for others extends also to the concern for the good of the community, the good of creation. We realize that our lives are intertwined not only with each other, but also to the whole of creation. And our love and concern for each other and for God's creation is indeed a manifestation also of our love for one another and ultimately for God. As we remember them, we continue to challenge ourselves, our communities, our consciousness, our concern for ecology, for the creation, and for our human community. May God's grace, God's Spirit enlighten us all in our desire, in our attempts to be of service to humanity, to be able to truly love God and our fellow human beings. Amen.